Welcome. This is the Men Church Stuff Podcast. This is the show where brothers-in-law DJ Culp and Brad Coleman talk about stuff from our perspective as men. It's a show for anyone who wants to hear how Christians interact with the world. And don't worry, we're real. We've grown up in church, and we want to share our experiences with you. We're going to talk about life stuff, church stuff, we'll talk man stuff, and stuff. The show starts now. Greetings, listeners here and there and everywhere, all across the land. This is the Men Church Stuff Podcast. I am one of your hosts, DJ Culp. As always, here with my beloved brother-in-law, Brad Coleman. Brad, dude, we're back at it. How you doing, man?
I'm still kicking. Ain't drowned yet.
You're still kicking?
Yeah.
Are you still kicking?
I'm still
you look
kicking.
very fragmented right now.
Fragmented.
Oh, there you are.
I was like, I don't know how to take that.
Pixelated, fragmented, whatever. So Brad, the last time that we met was before snowpocalypse or icepocalypse, really, for us. How much junk did you guys get?
So we didn't get the ice. So I think the ice is worse than snow.
Oh, heck yeah.
100% worse. So we didn't get so much ice. Yeah. I mean, there was ice, but not like you guys or Kentucky got. I don't know. I think we ended up somewhere around 6-8 inches of snow.
Oh, dude, that's awesome.
Good amount. Yeah. Good amount to play in. Good amount that now that even though it's melting, the big piles that got piled up, I saw the homeschool kids were out there playing, on it during their lunch break.
Yeah.
Mountain of snow.
That's fun.
That's been pushed up by the plows.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I really like to reflect on, and I get to share that this is how my childhood went. I get to tell this to the kids that when Tabitha and I were in elementary school up near Chicago, dude, I mean, right after lunch, we would put on our snowsuits and we'd go outside and we would play in the snow. Our recreation area wasn't like a playground. It was a giant fenced-in parking lot. Just out of curiosity, has she ever taken you up north to see whiting? Have you ever seen it?
So I have been through with your dad when we went to Chicago. I think it was whiting.
Oh, okay. You went through whiting then? Okay, cool. But yeah, we just had a big parking lot that was fenced off. And what they would do is whoever they is, I guess the city would plow the parking lot, let the buses, I think we only had 2 buses at our elementary school, but they would let the buses out. And at lunchtime, we'd all put on our winter gear. We'd go right outside and we'd play on the snow. This is a ton of fun. Yeah, we've got ice. And actually to that point, listeners, I don't know how you guys pray for our nation in different times and different seasons, no pun intended of seasons, but be in prayer for North Mississippi. North Mississippi got obliterated. I mean, decimated with ice. Nashville got it bad, but not as bad as Northern Mississippi did. I don't know, Brad, if you remember the ice storm that came through Kentucky in 2009, but that's what they got this year.
Yeah,
okay.
We were without power for 4 days, and there were people that were without power for weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. Western Kentucky got it worse. I think by the time it hit you guys, it had lightened up a bit. But yeah, the Western Kentucky, I think even like Southern Illinois, Missouri area. Do what?
That's when I lost my catfish that I had in the tank.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yep.
The ice storm took away Brad's catfish. I didn't mean to bring up such harsh memories. Yes, yeah. Listeners, you heard it here. It is possible to have a domestic catfish. It's possible. Right. All right. So listeners, we are coming off of several heavy episodes. And we just kind of want to lighten our load today. And so we're gonna have a little bit of fun. Before we get into our topic of what men and church culture tend to over-spiritualize, and I think it's time to do just a couple sermon illustration memes. We haven't done this in a while. So, listeners, if you're new to the show, what I do is I pull up a meme. I throw up a meme that I've got for Brad, and he has to make a sermon illustration of it. So, Brad, here is our first one.
The correct spelling is school. Oh, is school, not school. Some people put the second O before the first O, which is very wrong. Yeah. So I would probably go with conversation I was actually having the other day about how English sometimes gets in the way of biblical translation. Because when you look at the word love, right, we in English, we love our wife, we love our pizza, we love our kids, but it doesn't all mean, hopefully it doesn't all mean the same thing. And so when you've got Jesus talking to Peter after the resurrection, he's going, Peter, do you love me? Jesus uses the word for love, agape, and Peter uses the word for love, phileo, which is brotherly love. So agape, which is God-like, it's unconditional love, it's big, high love. And phileo is this brotherly love, still important. And Jesus says, do you agape me? And Peter says, yeah, I phileo you. You know I do. Do you agape me? Well, you know I phileo you. And then the third time, Jesus says, do you phileo me? And that's when Peter gets a little more upset and is like, you know I phileo you. You know I love you like a brother, or have that familiar love with you.
Right.
So, but it's still an important passage, and you get it with love. But I mean, you get so much deeper when you realize the O's in their own place. It's like, oh, makes perfect sense now.
Well done, Brad. Brad, you'll appreciate this one. I mean, I think that you actually appreciate them all, but you'll appreciate this one.
The more I get to know people, the more I realize why Noah only let animals on the boat. Because my brain's like, well, it wasn't really his decision, but
no, it wasn't.
I feel that. So I'm trying to resist the inclination of just being like, well, that is theologically incorrect. So context is important, but we beat that horse so many times. So I don't want to go with that easy way out. So I probably go with, we do people out sometimes, and we do need time by ourselves, and that's okay. Jesus sometimes sent the apostles on. So he goes just spend time alone with the Father. Sometimes he takes some of them with him, but sometimes he's just like, you all get in the boat and go on over. I'll catch up with
That's
you.
right. Yeah, I'm going to catch up with you.
So it's okay to be peopled out and to just need just go hug your dog and be like, you're my favorite person right now.
Oh, all right, Brad. Last one.
Don't leave me this time.
I won't.
I was like, all of a sudden, your whole screen disappeared. Please stop asking me for money. I do not have it. I'm trying to buy a house, a boat, a jet, an alligator, a tiger, and a lion. I just don't have any extra money. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I'm working on being Noah.
That's right.
But with a jet this time too. Oh, wow,
that's exactly right.
That's a tricky one. That is a tricky one. I'm trying. Okay, so my plans versus God's plans.
There you go. Yeah.
How many times that I'm like, God, this is what I'm doing. And James says, you guys say we're going to go to such and such a city. We're going to spend this time. We're going to make a profit. And what you ought to say is, if the Lord wills, we're going to go do that. So it's not. The problem is not the plans. The problem is who's the Lord of the plans. Right. Am I the Lord of the plans? And this is what's going to happen? Or am I laying that out as, well, Father, this is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I'd like an alligator. He's going, no.
And a lion and a tiger.
No.
And a jet.
Like, you struggle enough with dogs and cats. You don't need the big kitties.
That's right.
And the dinosaurs. Okay. Like
all right. So I said last one, but here's a bonus. Now this one you have to kind of explain to our listeners on the podcast what you're looking at.
All right. So I'm looking at a cartoon of a guy on a stage that has a guitar strap around him, and it looks like nothing else. To be behind the guitar is, especially by the looks of the people in the audience, looks like he is completely naked. And he is saying, this next song is about facing your fears, which I'll be playing on the ukulele. which is a little ukulele, tiny little thing over at the side of him. Yeah, that not all fears are meant to be faced. God tells us to run from temptation, run from evil, not to, overcome evil with good. But yes, but sometimes we just resist it and get out of there. Yeah. And maybe this would be a good time. I'm telling you, I ain't hanging around to see the next act. If I'm in the
That's right. Yeah. Nope.
Well, I can tell you, the minute he walked out,
I'm out.
It was just a guitar. I was like, you know what? This is not my kind of place.
That's right.
This is
I'm not even going to ask for my money back. You can keep it. I'm gone.
Yeah. Nope. That would require me to stay a little while.
That's exactly right. All right, so
go
Brad,
write a Google review, though.
Yeah, I actually think that I think that this is wonderful. Where you went with this, I think, sets us up perfectly for talking about our topic today. Again, just lightheartedly, it's truth, but it's just lighthearted. Of what do churches, what do men, and church culture tend to over-spiritualize. And actually, I think where you went is exactly one of the things that we over-spiritualize. Mm-hmm. If you are surrounded by temptation, we tend to over-spiritualize the waiting around, waiting for God to save us, rather than just leave.
Or the being Rambo.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yes. Yeah. Like, no.
Oh, yeah.
It's not time for me to bail yet.
Stand up to the temptation.
That's right. Yeah.
I was just letting that half-naked woman get closer to me, so it was going to be more impressive when I ran, honey. That's what it was.
That's right. That's how strong my willpower is. That's exactly right.
That willpower.
Yes. I think that is one of the things that church culture, for whatever reason, tends to over-spiritualize. But it might be. And I'm curious to know your thoughts on this, Brad. I do want to splice hairs here. Do you think that is primarily like Western/American church culture, or do you think that is like just men being like dumb, belligerent guys that just so happen to attend church?
Okay, so I think a little bit of both. I think there's definitely maybe some amplification because of our Western culture and the way we are, and let's stand up and be a man kind of culture. But I've also read the Bible, and you kind of read through the lines sometimes with the apostles and some of these other characters. I mean, even Old Testament, right? You got the prophet, you got the guy who has leprosy, and he sends to the king or whatever, all this, and the king's like, I don't know, like, why are you asking me? I can't cure leprosy. Send him to a prophet or whatever. And so, like, he goes, hunts down the prophet comes, the prophet says, go into the Jordan and dip 7 times. Yeah. And the guy gets mad because it's
yeah, right.
That's a dirty.
I don't want to do that.
Like, yeah. You got leprosy, dude. He's like, why can't I go over here? And he sends the prophet away. It's like, I ain't doing that.
Yeah, right.
It's not a big enough quest. Yeah. And his servent.
Oh, I love that, dude. Where his servant,
hey, dude, if he'd have asked you for some big price, if he'd have asked you to go slay the dragon and, win the victory, you'd have been first in line, basically. Obviously, I'm much out of big.
Well, no, you're right. There's not a damsel in distress.
Right.
Yeah. That's right.
And so his servant talks some sense into him, and he goes and does it. And guess what? Now he doesn't have leprosy because he does what he's supposed to do. But he was struggling to do that because, I mean, sounds like to me, based on the context, it wasn't a big enough thing. It wasn't a big enough price. It wasn't a, hey, let me go beat something. And just, it was a humbling, a humiliating, right? Like with the Jordan, we got better rivers at home. Can I do it in a clean river instead of this old nasty, muddy Mississippi? I mean, Jordan. Yeah. It stinks. The water's.
It's gross. Yeah, you're exactly right, dude. And I love that you said Rambo, because that really is the posture that we take. Like, all right, fine. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tear all my clothes off, and I'm just gonna like go to war, and my own willpower is going to be what thrusts me to victory.
And then
it's just not right.
Well, if we act on it, a lot of times we'll end up like in a situation like Peter, right? Who cuts off the guy's ear when they're going to take Jesus.
Yeah.
And then Jesus tells him, puts the ear back, which is crazy to me. And then, tells Peter to put his sword away. It's not the way. And it's like, Peter's like, his paradigm has to shift. And then he goes and denies Jesus 3 times because, which Jesus told him he was going to. But I mean, it's like, that's Peter was taking that. Yeah, I'm just going to run in full swing. I think he has the confidence in Jesus at this point because he knows that he's running in to a fight he couldn't win himself. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's obviously not very good with the sword because I'm pretty sure he wasn't aiming to just slice the guy's ear off. There's your warning shot. Some of those guys.
I think you're exactly right. Yeah.
You used to throw
no offense. If any of our listeners are fishermen, we are not saying this about you per se, but I'm pretty sure that the reason that he missed is because he picked up a sword, thrust it, and as a fisherman thought, yeah, this ain't doing what I want it to do. No. Yeah, you're exactly right, man.
And again, I think I said this on the podcast probably 3 or 4 times, but if I'm the guy that got his ear cut off and then put back, and it's like, I'm like, you know what? I don't even know what's going on here right now, but I'm out. Okay, I'm out. I'm just gonna go home. You guys let me know how this works out. That guy, yeah. I got to go ruminate on this a little bit.
You're right. Excuse me, Commander. My ear got cut off, and he put it back on. Can I go home now?
Do you know how bad it hurts when your ear gets cut off? And then he put it back, and it I hear better than I've ever heard. I can hear birds over there that I didn't. It's no.
I really have no desire to stay, sir. I just want to go home.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think we should arrest this guy. I mean,
right? Yeah. You want to?
Hey,
don't
Jim,
arrest
show
that
him
dude.
your finger. I mean, he smashed his finger earlier. Can you do fingers? I mean,
yeah. Terry, come over here, man.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So another thing I think that church culture.
Sorry, my brain just went. Jesus is constantly saying, "He who has ears, let him hear." He has ears, let him hear. And I'm thinking, for the first time, I just those 2 verses collided in my brain, and it was like, "Hey, you got ears." Ears now, man. You had
that's
one.
Right. Yeah.
Now you got both.
I've got to make sure that I've got to make sure that if you're in front of me, that you can hear me with both ears. So I'm going to put this back on and then talk. Dude. That's good. I had never thought about that
either.
That's probably what he was thinking when Peter cut it off.
He has ears. Let him hear.
Yeah, you can't do that. He's got to hear. So something else that I think church culture in general absolutely over-spiritualizes is the way we dress. That said, let's talk about this. Yes, wear pants. It is a good thing to wear pants. If you don't have pants, don't go to church. And I'm using pants. Hang on, I'm using
John
pants
Reader,
as a
who's
universal
probably
here.
To this would say, he wears his kilt. So,
he wears his kilt. That's right.
He wears his kilt.
Those are pants. Those are a form of Southern Hemisphere clothing. Okay, so
covering yourself up.
That's right.
Appropriately.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
If you are wearing something, if you are wearing something that you have the option to gird your loins with, you're fine. If you're wearing something that is already girding your loins, you're probably not fine. If you don't have anything to gird your loins with, don't go to church, right? So that's pants.
Not with your guitar.
Not with your guitar.
Give us a call. We'll bring you some pants. If that's the problem, that's, I'm out here. I'm completely naked. I don't have anything to wear. We'll get you some pants.
Yeah, that's right. So now that we said that, wear pants.
Covered. Pun intended.
But we do have you covered. That's right. So Brad, what has been, if you have anything to glean from, what has been your personal experience with watching the church over-spiritualize attire play out? Have you had experiences where clothing has, not have you experienced not wearing pants in church, but
facial hair, Well, again, as a pastor who doesn't wear a suit every week or very often at all,
Right.
matter of fact, if I show up in a suit, the congregation at this point is like, "What is going on?
Yeah. Is somebody
Like,
dead?
is it Easter? Yeah. You got a funeral after this? What's going on?
What's wrong?
And I say that because I did show up with a suit one day, and I had like 3 people go like, "You doing okay? Why are you in a suit?" And there's some that wish I would wear a suit every week. Don't get me wrong,
Sure.
but again, so I think there are those that put overemphasis on it.
Yeah.
I try to be balanced, and I'm not very well balanced. But
Yeah.
I try to wear more often than not now, like some dress pants and a button up or something like that. But I've preached many times in jeans and a polo. I'm comfortable most of the time enough with my Wednesday night group that I just wear whatever I was wearing that day. So, I mean, if it's a Fraggle Rock shirt and jeans, that's what I'm teaching the Bible study in.
Dude, do you seriously have a Fraggle Rock shirt?
I do. Your sister bought me one just recently.
Oh my gosh, you're my hero. Dude, I loved that show. Fraggle Rock was awesome.
But don't
Thank you for bringing that up.
shirt.
Yeah, continue. Yeah. Oh, dude, that's awesome.
Well,
yeah,
and so, but again, I want to look at the other side too, right? Because the other side is that let's not over-spiritualize not wearing a suit.
Right.
And I think, and it's not perfect, but as a general rule, the older generations are like, kind of, why aren't you wearing a suit? Why aren't you clean shaven?
Yeah.
If you're going to have a beard, it shouldn't be long. And then a lot more of the younger generations are almost like, oh, well, we don't want you to wear a suit. Not that they're going to voice that, but I mean,
right.
I was doing it. We were doing a trunk or treat one day, a few years ago, and I had a funeral before then. I did the funeral. I was coming. And so we decided we were going to work that in. So I just had like a Nerf gun, Tommy gun. And, we made it.
Mafia member.
Yeah. And your sister dressed up kind of like the old, so, I mean, we were that couple. We're like Bonnie and Clyde type. But somebody goes, "You're the pastor, aren't you?" And I was like, "Yeah, I am," which I don't get a lot, by the way. It's not normally where people jump to. "Oh, you're the pastor."
Yeah.
But I was like, "Yeah." He's like, and he looked at the other guy that was with him. He was like, "Yeah, told you. Always the best dressed person there."
Oh.
And I was, again,
Brad, you enabler.
Younger generation. And I was like, "Man, you should see me on Sunday. I don't know how to wear this."
You enabler, Brad. Yeah. Shame on you.
Clothes. I think we should wear them.
Yes, wear clothes. So Brad, I don't know if I've said this on the show. If I have, it's been a very long time. But this really happened to me. This was while we were still in Kentucky. It was like a Wednesday night. It was just a busy day, and I was dressed kind of like I am now. I had a ball cap on, not one of these, but just a ball cap. I don't know, hoodie, t-shirt, something like that. And my drumsticks were in the sanctuary, and we had a band rehearsal somewhere else in the building. So I run to the sanctuary, get my drumsticks, and I'm headed out of the sanctuary. And an older guy, not to pick on the older generation, but as you mentioned, just a second ago, that it does tend to be that the older generation has wanted or wants to see kind of the nicer decorum, basically being represented. Well, he stopped me and he said, "Do you take your hat off when you sing the national anthem?" And I said, "Yes, sir." And he said, "So why are you wearing it in the house of the Lord?" And I was really shocked that he asked that. So I didn't have a good comeback. And if there was really ever a moment in my life where God shut my mouth, that was probably one of them. And looking back on that, there have been so many things that I wish I could have said to that guy. But I don't know, there's a part of me that really does think that the Jesus that I serve don't think cares if I have a hat on. I'm just going to say it that way. I could be so wrong. I could be like, whenever I die and go to heaven, Jesus may have like a sit down talk with me and said, "All right, listen up," but I don't think so. So yeah, I definitely think that we tend to, that the church And I want to throw this into, I think that the church tends to over-spiritualize attire, but I also think, I think it's true, Brad, that our culture, like our society around the church, also kind of, there's a lot of residue of, if you are not dressed this way, you won't be accepted at that church. And I think there's a stigma that the church has earned over the years to have that kind of a reputation. Where do you stand on that?
I went into a church once. This was before I was a pastor. I was a teenager, and I went into a church once. It was going to this VBS in Ohio with some of my uncle and aunt. And there was a sign on the inside of the church in the lobby that said, if you're a woman and you're not wearing a dress, don't come in. If you're,
my gosh.
if you're, and there was some stipulation for men too. I don't remember exactly, what, but it was not a piece of paper printed out. This was something that had been made and put there. And even as an 18-year-old kid, I went, gosh, that's really wrong.
That's so wrong.
How dare we think that we can have the right to keep people away from the gospel?
Mm-hmm.
Now, we can get so caught up in some of these things. Let me go to the other extreme. Okay. Mm-hmm. I did have to have a conversation with my children that lounging pajama pants. Let's not do that on Sunday morning. I let them, because the kids wear it to school, like all kinds of them wear it to school and all that stuff. All right. So I'm like, Wednesday night, it's laid back, it's youth group. You want to wear your pajama pants? That's fine. But on Sunday morning, let's not just show up in pajama pants. And,
so Brad, I want, if you're okay to do this, I want to dig in. In this case, why is that something that you hold? Why is it something that Shara and I hold? Why is it something that my parents held? Like, what is about Sunday morning?
Why do I hold it? You want me to be 100% honest?
Yeah.
Because their dad's the pastor, and people are going to talk to their dad about it eventually if they make a habit of doing that. And I just don't want to deal with it. And it's just easier because I don't care. If you're there in lounging pants and you're engaged in singing and you're worshiping the Lord and your heart's in the right place, I don't care.
That's
what you've got on. I don't care if you're wearing
Brad.
A hat
No.
or
See,
not a hat.
Brad, I care. I can't
pants.
worship the Lord if you're in pajama pants. Your pajama pants prevent me from worshiping.
If we're honest, if I could get away with it, I'd probably preach in lounging pants.
You absolutely would. You would.
Yeah.
Brad, I've known you a long time.
Yeah,
you absolutely
with a slice
would.
of pizza.
That's right.
Thank God for his pizza. I usually hide under like John the Baptist, where people make comments about the way I'm dressed or like my beard or whatever. I just go, kind of crazy, like John the Baptist or whatever.
Right.
I said, or I'll be like, well, at least I'm not wearing like camel skin and eating bugs.
That's right. Yeah. You think this is bad? I can up my ante if you want.
Prepare you the way of the Lord.
That's exactly right.
So my thing is, too, is this, like, if you feel like you need to wear that or you feel better when you're wearing that, then do it.
Yeah.
Wear a suit. There's nothing wrong with you wearing a suit every Sunday.
So when I was growing up, and maybe you know this about me, Brad, I don't know, but when I was growing up, Mom made me wear a suit. I wore a coat and tie from the time that I was basically in middle school all the way through high school. I wore coat and tie pretty much every single Sunday. Yeah. And if my mom were to listen to this, she may text me saying, DJ Culp, no, I did not. Like, yeah, no, Mom,
Tabby
you
wore
did.
Dresses.
Yeah, and Tabitha wore dresses. That's exactly right. Yep, that was our.
Since we've been married, your mother had, she's given up now. She's given up. But when Tabby early on, like as a pastor, here's his pastor's wife, youth pastor's wife, or whatever, and she'd wear her jeans to Sunday morning. And your mom was like, "Oh, Tabitha, don't do that."
Yeah,
she's like, "I'm going to, Mom. I don't care." You don't.
That's
you
right.
Don't get
Yeah,
to
I don't
tell
care.
me that I have
Yes.
to anymore, and I'm not going to.
You're
I love
making
you,
it worse.
but,
That's right.
yeah.
Well, so
I
here's
was
the
going to
thing.
wear a dress this Sunday, but nope, now I'm not.
That's right. I had it picked out until you said that. So
Yeah.
I asked Mom, why do you make me wear a coat and tie? Why do I have to wear a suit? And I'm kind of paraphrasing, but the essence of what she said was because it is a way that we show our love and our devotion to the Lord. And I remember receiving that thinking, no, that's not how I do that. That might be how she does that. And as her child, I have to follow, no pun intended, I have to follow suit. But as soon as I left the house, like I can actually wear whatever I want as long as it's pants, right? Got to wear pants, as we nailed down earlier. But
speaking of which, well, earlier I did push it apparently a little too far with some people when I first got here as the senior pastor. Wednesday night, it was forevermore hot. It was borderline 100 degrees,
dude.
And I had a polo on, and I had a pair of khaki cargo shorts.
You sweat, didn't you?
And it had a I had someone who had a conversation about whether or not I thought that was really appropriate for me to be leading in a pair of cargo shorts. And again, I was honest with them, didn't think it mattered. I still don't think it mattered. But I have been, more thoughtful of that.
Well,
also, if I'm doing the Lord's Supper, I wear a suit. Because there are some, not because I think God cares, by the way, but because I know that there are some people that's important to them. And I know because they have nicely being the operative word here, came and told me that it's important to them, and they feel like, it's a respect thing. And I go, okay, I'll wear a suit.
Yep.
I don't have a problem.
And that right there,
suit.
Brad, is the way that Paul ends 1 Corinthians 11. Beyond this, we have no other tradition. Yeah. Right? We don't. Yeah. And so the way I have come to interpret that is do as you do. If you want to set the precedent that this is appropriate attire, fine. However, if you hold everybody else to that standard, that's where I think the line needs to be drawn. That's where I think that if we cross that, that's where I think the over-spiritualization begins, because it's no longer a preference. Even if it's grounded in excellent reasoning, it's no longer a preference. It is now like closer to doctrine.
And I go to James, right? James goes, if you got this guy comes in with nice clothes and you say, hey, sit here. And this guy comes in with shady clothes and you say, sit over here. Are you going to respect your, now I have heard, I've had people, and again, just argument, come back and go, yeah, but he couldn't afford to wear nicer clothes. That's why he's wearing. And I'm like, well, okay, you're not completely wrong. But the point is.
Well, was he saving for an alligator and a lion and a tiger and a jet?
He was.
You don't know. You say that.
Yeah,
well, Brad, let's change our topic to a last one. Is there something that you can think of that either guys or the church tends to over-spiritualize?
So let me tell you one that has been hard for me, coming as a guy who considers himself country and wears the hillbilly with pride.
And you do, and you wear it well,
right? And beards and guns and Bibles,
beards, guns, and Bibles.
Which I'm for those things. But I think we got to be careful that we don't spiritualize that, because it's easy for me to then go, okay, so there's this guy over here who is an amazing theologian, who's an amazing pastor, who doesn't own guns, who is clean shaven, who has never played a sport or doesn't have any muscles.
Right.
Is he less of a man of God because he doesn't have those things? No, he's not less of a man. Yeah. Jesus, we have to define biblical manhood by Jesus. So we all need to go be carpenters, I guess. No.
Right. That's right.
But
some of our listeners, if I can interject this right here, Brad, some of our listeners may be aware that there is a book out there. I've never read it, so I am not promoting it at all in the sense of you should go read it because it's right. I'm just telling you that there's a book out there that talks about the issue with where you're headed, Brad. It's called Jesus and John Wayne. I've never read it, but I know it deals directly with basically and I'm going to pull back Rambo because it is that, like, dude, you hit the nail on the head with Rambo. That the manly Christian is a Rambo type of character. And you're right. If you don't fit that kind of a mold, then what kind of a man are you? You're exactly right.
What does that do to my brothers who are short in stature and don't have, like, does that make him less of a man? Because...
And I'm gonna put myself in the dock, as the Brits say, right? I'm gonna put myself in the seat of the defendant. What about me? I'm a musician. I've said before on the show, I have pansy hands.
It's true.
Yeah, I can like I've learned kind of the fix-itness that comes along with home ownership, but I'm not a man's man. I play jazz. I've never hunted a day in my life. I don't want to. I don't own camouflage. There really is a list that, and I think it's unwritten, but there's a list of things that you're talking about that, if you were not careful, we alienate, we ostracize other men or other women in that sense as well.
Yeah, and so I think that was one of the things that Jeff really, I think, poured into me and challenged. And it wasn't necessarily my cognitive thinking, but as much the way that this underlying thing had, men are just tough, and the Bible tells us to act like men. Well, and I agree with that. And obviously the Bible says it, but what does that mean? What does it mean to act like men? And again, for me, when I start to look at that, it means a lot more about my character, a lot more about standing up for what's right, taking care of those who are under my care. It doesn't, if I'm a hunter, then I'm a hunter, that's fine. But if I'm a berry gatherer, that doesn't make me less of a man. And
this is going to sound, I hope that what I'm about to say doesn't do what? I
like berries.
You do? You like berries. I'm glad that you like berries. I hope that what I'm about to say doesn't sound chauvinistic, because I don't mean for it to. I tend to also think when you say, the biblical passage, be men, act like men. I think there's a connotation caked into that deals with bravery and courage. Now, when I say that, listeners, I am not saying that women are not brave and that women are not courageous. Matter of fact, I think that there are many, many examples where we could say that women are braver and more courageous than men.
All right. Let me tell you what. Let me say this real quick, because I agree with you, and let me give you an example. Okay.
Okay.
My little brother is 6'4", something like that. He's a mountain of a man. He's a big man. He's a blue collar guy.
Yeah. Your brother's huge.
So my mother is 5 foot something on the lower end, not a very big woman. So, but they will both stand up to the same threat. And I'm going to tell you, a wise threat would realize that the shorter woman over here is scarier than the big fella over there.
Oh, heck yeah. Heck yeah.
But also, she has to have more courage, though, doesn't she? She doesn't have 6'4" frame. She doesn't have all this to stand behind. That's right. So she has to have more courage. Sometimes those small ladies are the most courageous.
Yes. Yeah.
Because they're standing on faith and
not just from the mama bear standpoint, but dude, they're spiritually, women are rocks. Immovable foundations. And I think it's a shame that there aren't, at least in my memory, that there aren't more men that have been spiritual rocks like women. Okay, now, saying all of that, I think that there's an element to what you were saying, the scripture, act like men. There's a part of bravery and courage that comes into play, that God built guys to be able to compartmentalize our emotions when we really need to. And here's the reality. This is what's real. And whether or not I feel this or that, I still have to deal with it. So I think guys, again, in my own lifetime and only in my experience, listeners, just in my own experience, guys tend to be able to have that activated quicker of, right, well, I'm just going to stand up and do it. I'm going to suffer for it. And here we go. But again, you don't have to be Rambo. And this comes back to what you were saying. This, like, Rambo, go watch the movie. Rambo made a lot of very, very poor decisions. Like, it's a movie. It's a movie about somebody who he makes a bad decision, and then it just snowballs to become worse.
And it ends well for him because it's a movie.
Yes, it does. All right. So the last thing, and Brad, I don't want to unpack this very much because this is Pandora's box. So actually, you know what? I'm not going to mention it as a way for us to talk about, but I am going to mention it. Listeners, I want you all to know that what you're about to hear from Brad is the very first time that he has ever heard this. Brad, this is a topic that I think that we need and I certainly want to have. But something that men and the church both tend to over-spiritualize is an incorrect and very misguided connection between Christianity and nationalism. And we're going there, Brad. We got to go there, dude. And so
Jesus doesn't care if you're American. Yeah, no, he doesn't.
No,
he don't love you more because you're American.
So
America's
what we're
going
to do? Yeah. Yes. No. Yeah. Oh. So this is something, listeners, I know that's one heck of a cliffhanger, but we're going to end it on that cliffhanger. But that is absolutely something that the church tends to over-spiritualize. It needs to be said. It needs to be said. And it needs to be brought to the light. And I have heard many a conversation in the last 3 years specifically. I'll let you guys, listeners, do the math. But in the last 2 to 3 years specifically, I've heard more of these conversations. And what we have to do is ignore the emotional temptation to ignite the conversation and just have an objective, let's sit back and let's talk about this. So listeners, I hope that you tune in next week, because next week will be the conversation of how the church over-spiritualizes nationalism. Brad, hope you're ready. Hope I'm ready.
Next week, because we get canceled. No.
Yeah, I know. If we get canceled, then all the tens and tens of listeners that we have will just have to retreat to other podcasts. But listeners, on that note, we love you and thank you so much for being loyal listeners to our show. We very much are thankful for the encouragement that we've gotten from emails and Facebook messages about you guys liking our show. Brad and I are just simply trying to be honest, and here's where God has led us in our life to this point. So you know what to do. Follow us on all of our socials, Instagram, Facebook. We don't have a Twitter or an X account because I don't care. But we have stopped selling our merchandise. For the time being, we may bring that back in for a while, but Brad, nobody adopted.
But we can say that we stopped selling because we did make a sale.
We made a sale, one sale, yes. And I'm going to do this. Shout out to Kevin Bryowski, one of my best friends in the entire world. Right. Kevin Bryowski, appreciate the support, brother. But beyond that, listeners, we love you, and Brad, I love you too, bud.
Love you too.
Listeners, we'll catch you next time.
Go be his church.